Hello everybody, it's Mrs. Norm here. Hello. I hope this finds you well in really, really strange times. And the reading is giving you a bit of entertainment, whether you're enjoying the story or having a bit of giggle at your teachers reading to you. Either way, I hope this brings a smile to your face. I'm going to be carrying on with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I'm going to be reading chapters 22 and 23. And at the end there'll be a little task if you want to do it, just to improve on your writing skills and to pass another half an hour or so of the day. So let's go, chapter 22, Along the Corridor. Well, sighed Mr. Wonka. 2 naughty little children gone, 3 good little children left. I think we'd better get out of here quickly before we lose anybody else. But Mr. Wonka, said Charlie anxiously, will Violet Beauregard ever be all right again, or will she always be a blueberry? They'll deduce her in no time flat, said Mr. Wonka. They'll roll her into the deducing machine and she'll come out just as thin as a whistle. But will she still be blue all over? Asked Charlie. Why, she'll be purple, said Mr. Wonka. A fine, rich purple from head to toe. But there you are. That's what comes from chewing disgusting gum all day long. If you think gum is so disgusting, said Mike TV, then why do you make it in your factory? Oh, I do wish you wouldn't mumble, said Mr. Wonka. I can't hear a word you're saying. Come on, off we go, hurry up, follow me. We're going to the corridors again. And so saying, Mr. Wonka scuttled across to the far end of the inventing room and went out through a small secret little door hidden behind a lot of pipes and stoves. The 3 remaining children, Charlie Bucket, Veruca Salt, and Mike TV, together with 5 remaining grown-ups, followed after him. Charlie Bucket saw that they were now back in one of those long pink corridors, with many other pink corridors leading out of it. Mr. Wonka was rushing along in front, turning left and right and right and left, and Grandpa Joe was saying, "Keep a good hold of my hand, Charlie. It'd be terrible to get lost in here." Mr. Wonka was saying, "No time for any more messing about. We'll never get anywhere the rate we've been going," and he rushed on down the endless pink corridors with his top hat perched on top of his head and his plum-coloured velvet coattails flying out behind him like a flag in the wind. They passed a door in the wall. "No time to go in," shouted Mr. Wonka. "Press on, press on." They passed another door and another, and there were doors every 20 paces or so now along the corridor. And they all had something written on them. Strange clanking noises were coming from behind several of them, and delicious smells came wafting through the keyholes, and sometimes little jets of coloured steam shot out from the cracks underneath. Grandpa Joe and Charlie were half running, half walking, trying to keep up with Mr. Wonka, but they were able to read what it said on quite a few of the doors as they hurried by. Eatable marshmallow pillows, it said on one. "Marshmallow pillows are terrific," cried Mr. Wonka as he dashed by. "They'll be all the rage when I get them in the shops. No time to go in though, no time to go in." Lickable wallpaper for nurseries, it said on the next door. "Lovely stuff, lickable wallpaper," cried Mr. Wonka, rushing past. "It has pictures of fruit on it. Bananas, apples, oranges, grapes, pineapples, strawberries and snosberries." Snosberries, said Mike TV. "Don't interrupt," said Mr. Wonka. The walls have pictures of all these fruits printed on it, and when you lick the picture of a banana, it tastes like a banana, and when you lick a strawberry, it tastes of a strawberry, and when you lick a snosberry, it tastes exactly like a snosberry. What does a snosberry taste like?" "You're mumbling again," said Mr. Wonka. "Speak louder next time. Hurry up, on we go." "Hot ice creams for cold days," it said on the next door. "Extremely useful in winter," said Mr. Wonka, rushing on. "Hot ice creams warm you up. No end in freezing weather. I also make hot ice cubes for putting in hot drinks. Hot ice cubes make hot drinks hotter. Cows that give chocolate milk," it said on the next door. "Ah, my pretty, pretty little cows," said Mr. Wonka. How I love those cows. But why can't we see them? Said Veruca Salt. Why do we have to go rushing on past all these lovely rooms? We shall stop in time, called out Mr. Wonka. Don't be so madly impatient. Fizzy lifting drinks, it said on the next door. Oh, those are fabulous, said Mr. Wonka. They fill you with bubbles, and the bubbles are full of a special kind of gas, and this gas is terrifically lifting, that it lifts you right up off the ground like a balloon. And up you go until your head hits the ceiling, and there you stay. But how do you come down again? Asked little Charlie. You do a burp, of course, said Mr. Wonka. You do a great big, long, rude burp. And up comes the gas and down comes you. But don't drink it outdoors. There's no knowing how high up you'll be carried if you do that. I gave some to an old Oompa Loompa once out in the backyard, and he went up, and he disappeared out of sight. It was very sad. I never saw him again. He should have burped, said Charlie. Of course he should have burped, said Mr. Wonka. I stood there shouting, burp, you silly arse, burp, and then you'll come down again. But he didn't, or he couldn't, or he wouldn't. I don't know which. Maybe he was too polite. He must be on the moon by now. On the next door it said, square sweets that look round. Wait, cried Mr. Wonka, skidding suddenly to a halt. I'm very proud of my square sweets that look round. Let's take a peek. Chapter 23. Square sweets that look round. Everybody stopped and crowded round the door. The top half of the door was all glass. Grandpa lifted up Charlie so that he could get a better view, and looking in, Charlie saw a long table, and on the table there were rows and rows of little white square-shaped sweets. The sweets looked very much like square sugar lumps, except that each of them had a funny little pink face painted on the side. At the end of the table, a number of Oompa Loompas were busily painting more faces on more sweets. There you are, cried Mr. Wonka. Square sweets that look round. Oh, they don't look round to me, said Mike TV. They look square, said Veruca Salt. They look completely square. But they are square, said Mr. Wonka. I never said they weren't. You said they were round, said Veruca Salt. But I never said anything of the sort, said Wonka. I said they looked round. But they don't look round, said Veruca Salt. They look square. They look round, insisted Mr. Wonka. They most certainly do not look round, cried Veruca Salt. Veruca, darling, said Mrs. Salt, pay no attention to Mr. Wonka. He's lying to you. My dear old fish, said Wonka, go and boil your head. How dare you speak to me like that, said Mrs. Salt. Oh, do shut up, said Wonka. Now, watch this. He took a key from his pocket and he unlocked the door and he flung it open, and suddenly, at the sound of the door opening, all the little rows of square sweets looked quickly round to see who was coming in. Their tiny faces actually turned towards the door and stared at Mr. Wonka. There you are, he cried triumphantly. They're looking round. There's no argument about it. They are square sweets which look round. By golly, he's right, said Grandpa Joe. Come on, said Wonka, starting to go down the corridor again. On we go, mustn't dawdle. Butterscotch and butter gin, it said on the next door they passed. That sounds a bit more interesting, said Mr. Salt, Veruca's father. Glorious stuff, said Mr. Wonka. The Oompa Loompas adore it. It makes them tiddly. Listen, You can hear them in there now, whooping it up. Shrieks of laughter and snatches of singing could be heard coming through the closed door. "They're drunk as lords," said Wonka. "They're drinking butterscotch and soda. They like it best of all. Butter gin and tonic's also really popular. Follow me, please. We really mustn't keep stopping like this." He turned left, he turned right. They came to a long flight of stairs. Mr. Wonka slid down the banister. The three children did the same. Mrs. Salt and Mrs. TV, the only two women now left in the party, were getting very out of breath. Mrs. Salt was a great fat creature with short little legs, and she was blowing like a rhinoceros. "This way!" cried Wonka, turning left at the bottom of the stairs. Oh, go slower!" panted Mrs. Salt. "Impossible," said Mr. Wonka. "We should never get there in time if I did." "Get where?" said Veruca Salt. "Never you mind," said Mr. Wonka. "Just you wait and see." Okay, so my little task for you, should you want to do it, is to imagine that you have the opportunity to create your own sweet, your own brand new sweet or chocolate bar, and you are to write a descriptive piece where you describe the moment your characters get to the door of your inventing room. What is the name above the door? What does the door look like? And when you open the door, what can you see? What can you hear the machine making? Is it clanking? Is it whirring? Can you smell anything? And as your characters walk in, just describe the cacophony of sounds and smells that you might be able to hear. And then maybe your characters might taste the sweet or get to taste the chocolate bar, and then you can use all your five senses to describe exactly what the reader sees and hears and can smell in your inventing room. That's your little task. It'd be lovely to read some of them at some point, but the most important thing is just to have a bit of fun doing it. Keep your minds whirring along a little bit, and just to keep you entertained, like I said. So it's been lovely doing this for you, and I hope to see you all again soon. Stay safe and keep smiling. Bye.